everybody. Welcome to the show, Film Festival Live and filmfestivallive.com. If you're watching this, there's a good chance you're watching it on either YouTube, two of our Facebook Lives, Twitch, all kinds of places, because that's what's happening nowadays. If you don't know it, you can do it. You just have to learn a little bit. But isn't that what our industry is all about? Constant learning and changing and bobbing and weaving. You know, I had a conversation a few weeks ago because of my weapon skills and armor and stuff like that, as well as being an actor, and also specializing in Colt or single action guns because of the incident that happened. And the thing that's been happening weeks afterwards, or a week or so after that, is I'm having conversations with a lot of air gun places and talking to them about different stuff. Umrex, good friends of mine, they're great. I think, I'm not sure where, in Texas or something like that. Just different options to do with CGI and so on. Although a lot of cowboy films, we use real blanks and so on. But anyway, the industry changes constantly. So if you're not up to speed on stuff happening in the industry, then I got bad news for you. You're behind the times. And if you're not really shooting stuff on your iPhone, or you're not shooting stuff on your own DSLR and creating your own content, then I got bad news for you as well. If you're one of those people that I know, and look, I'm not 25. I mean, 2 days ago I was, but I'm not today. But if you're one of those people that are like, well, I can't do that. I'm just going to go wait in the green room or in my dressing room and eat my red M&Ms, and, you know, I'll be there when they call me for my shot. You probably should try to become a barista, because the industry is not going to wait up for you. And it's all about your own thing. Because as I've said over and over again, I started in 81, 82. And back then, black and white headshots. And if you said you were an actor and anything else, writer, director, they'd go, make up your mind. Well, nowadays, if you're not multi-listing yourself and you have the skills, don't lie, then I'm here to tell you that people are a little surprised, because that's what this is all about. Today's show, I'm very excited. We are a direct link live from England, I think. Almost sure. England. We are going to talk to a director, Ian. I'm very excited. Ian Diaz. We're very excited to talk to him, and I'm going to show you his demo in just about 2 seconds. Also, very excited to say that on filmfestivallive.com, we have our group of writers. And if you're a writer that writes any of the content that is related to the industry, let us know, because we'd love to publish you. And we're syndicating this on a lot of different places. So that would be good for you, because you could say, look, I'm on this place, that place, the other place. Today, I launched the new segment from Victor. Victor is one of our people that comes on every week, talks about the business of show business, kind of mainly pointed more towards actors, but he put together a masterclass, very well done. And he is probably the first person I've ever met that talks like me and goes, yeah, I mean, it's great to have Stella Elder, or the, I can't even, my mind is blank on the different acting coaches. It's all good to have that, and you should when you go on set. I don't think the director wants to worry about whether or not you're going to be able to act. I don't. But more importantly, it's the business of how you get in the door. Because I don't know if you know this, but the word show business has that really cool word in the last part of it called business. So we're giving you that business. And Wednesday he comes on live. But check out filmfestivallive.com right now and see the first installment of the masterclass from Victor. I think you're going to dig it. All right, without further ado, I'm going to get right to it, because I want to talk to Ian. I'm very excited. And so I'm going to show you something. And I always do this, and you should love this, because you will. Watch this demo.
You're lying.
You're here to kill us, aren't you? The only reason you are still alive is to be interrogated.
This is about her, isn't it?
Take your weapon out slowly and slide it across to me.
Your boyfriend is a professional killer.
I've heard your entire life flashes before your eyes, a second before you die. Help me be with my baby again.
Pull the alarm!
Great power comes great responsibility.
Don't take the piss.
You're not going to find a saxophone in there. You're going to find the ready arsenal, the tools of the trade.
He needs a doctor, for Christ's sake. I'm not going to just watch him die, Lance. You've got to help me.
Now, what happened yesterday at the drop?
We still have that connection between us now. Do you feel it?
Matt's an assassin. He kills people for money.
He's a computer salesman, not a hitman.
Christ, Marla. Who set fire to your tampon?
He's a professional killer. You don't need a gun to sell a computer.
No, please. I don't deserve it. You're not dead enough.
Why is it always?
Okay, wait, I'm going to show that again later on. But Ian, boy, I know what I want for Christmas. A director like you. We got firepower, we got explosions, we got action. I love it. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Well, that was quite a exciting clip we saw. Can you, first of all, give me a little background on what did we see there? What was the series or the program?
Well, it's I directed showreel, and it's basically highlighting the highlights in the stuff that I've directed. So there are movies in there, there's a web series in there, and shorts in there as well. So it's all put together to a sound,
sure.
Not music, but sound, and it's to highlight, my directing talents. There are certain bits in there that shows what I'm like as a director, because I've noticed that directors' showreels, they seem to show clips that are well lit, and that's it, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I was trying to show how I direct, trying to show the impact that my shots have. So I was, there you go.
It's definitely an edge of the cedar, and
you reckon?
I have seen a lot of show reels, and I will say that again, I asked that because it did look like a very well put together story, which is awesome. The other thing that kind of amazes me is, look, I got a world record for my handling of guns, and the folks there in the UK, which is the Guinness folks, or You're Amazing or something like that, came to America and did a little half-hour show on me doing guns, whips, ropes, and so on. But they were very clear about saying in this piece afterwards, when they put it all together and edited it, that I was using a modified fake gun. I wasn't, but apparently in the UK, that's just not a real big thing. But you've got guns ablazing in this thing.
Well, there's one film that I made, which is the guy with the glasses in the clip. He has a blank firing gun.
Yes.
And we had an armorer there to make sure everything was safe. But all the other guns, recent stuff we've done, it's all
CGI.
Airsoft guns. Yes, airsoft guns and
okay.
CGI basically. So so
great stuff.
It's safe. It's safe. I don't see the reason why you would have a blank firing gun now, especially when you can do the muzzle flashes in post. It's very easy.
I think I don't want to get too much into this, but I do think that one of the things is that, and I kind of specialize in the cowboy stuff, is that cowboy comes with macho. And they're like, we're going to fire real guns, because I also have an organization that I create, or I have insurance for reenactors, Civil War, World War II, cowboy. And if I ever said, and I have thousands of people in our database, if I ever said to them, you're not going to be able to use your historical arms and your black powders, and they would probably come after me. So I get it, because, on film, and I did a film for 46 days in Brazil called O Matador.
Yeah.
And I was one of the principals, but I was also the armorer. We shot one blank, and after that I went, well, this town isn't really safe, because in Brazil they're not so.
Yeah.
And we just went all CGI. And it's amazing that you can literally, even with an app, you can do it and make it look realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really see the point of having blanks anymore. I really don't. I mean, over here, it's kind of like against the law to use if you don't have permission to use airsoft guns and stuff like that. That's why they always got the orange tip
Yes.
at the end, and and stuff like that, so you can tell it's not real. But if you have a film company, they will allow you. You have to tell the police, you have to tell everyone that you're shooting, and then you'll be allowed to use it, which is what we did. So
absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your career. You've been doing this for how long?
Over 20 years, I think.
I love that. I love to ask
years.
that question. I don't usually ask it to the women because I don't want to get into anything like that. But
right.
But 20 years. So did you start off thinking to yourself, wow, you know what? I would love to do this because I saw a particular movie, or is it something you always knew you wanted to do? Go back to the beginning.
Okay. I wanted to do special effects originally because I'm older than you think. So basically, I saw Star Wars. Well, I am. I saw Star Wars in the theater, as you guys would say, and we call it cinema over here. You call it theater.
Wait, you saw you saw the first Star Wars in?
Yep.
Okay, I'm 57, and I remember seeing it. But you don't look at over maybe 39, 42. Well, there it is.
56.
Oh, well,
56.
We're right up on it.
So I saw Star Wars, and I was convinced that's why I wanted to do special effects. And then the same year, there was a film called Close Encounters, and it came out. Yeah. And I went to see that, and there was that one scene in the film that made me want to become a director. I actually told this story before in other podcasts, and it was the scene with Richard Dreyfuss, and he was trying to convince his wife to come home. When he built the mountain in his living room, and while he's talking to her, we could see the TV, and we can see the mountain on the TV, and we see the man in his room. And in my head, I was screaming, "Look at the TV, you moron!" And then when I came out the cinema, I was just wondering, how I got to that state when I was watching that film. And then I realized that it wasn't the special effects that made the film; it was the writer and the director that made the film work. And so from that point on, I wanted to direct and write. And I guess that's what I did,
Yeah.
And that's how I got started, really, yeah.
Did you, may I ask, did you start off, actually, back then you probably started off with something like an XL1 or what did you start off with? What was you remember your first camera?
The first thing I ever directed was a short called The Interrogation, which was shot in Super 16, Ariflex Super 16, and
wow.
shooting on film is very different from shooting on video, as you know, because you're the same age. Got hair in the film, hair in the gate, and if there is, you have to do it again, and then you only have a certain amount of film, so you have to make sure that everything is working before you even turn the camera on.
That's right.
So I made this film called The Interrogation, and I made it for £1,000. And so we wanted to make a feature film, and I wasn't part of the film industry. Still am not part of the industry to this date. I've always been an independent filmmaker. And then one day, me and my friend said we need to make a feature film, and we decided to make a feature film. And we this is the plan we had. So we made this film for £1,000, and that was 30 minutes. So all we need to do is make 2 other shorts and connect them together and make a feature film. That was the thought, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way because making a feature film is a different kind of animal to making a short. But the actual idea was solid. So in those days, we didn't have the internet, and we wanted to raise money. We wanted to get other people involved because, as I said, we were working class, or you guys call it blue collar. We were blue collar. Yeah. And we weren't part of the industry. It was very hard to get into the industry. And so what we decided to do is put an advert out in a newspaper, but we couldn't afford to put an advert out in a newspaper. So there was this newspaper called Loot, which is like a magazine. It's like a newspaper stroke magazine where you can advertise if you want to rent out a room or sell some shoes. It was like eBay, but it was a newspaper thing. So we put an advert out because it was free in Loot saying, if you want to be part, something like if you want to make a feature film and you've got no experience and you want to be part of a team, call this number. And that's all we put. And then one weekend, the phone didn't stop ringing.
Are you serious?
And so this is how we did it. So to cut a long story short, wow. 14 people said yes. And 14 people put $1,000 in, and we raised £14,000, and we shot our film in 2 weeks on Super 16 with £14,000. That's how we did it.
That's a bit mind blowing, because when you think about come on, you think about it, you're like digital. Of course, you can go on and on and on. All you need is a new card, which is certainly a lot cheaper than video than film. But that is what you just said, in my opinion, is a modern take on what people are doing and shooting films in 2 weeks or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But to go into it with the 60, I mean, all that, wow.
It was a nightmare.
And you have all your hair still.
It was a complete nightmare. The making Killing Zone, because that was the film, it was a nightmare. But we weren't stupid. We knew what we were up against, and we had all these inexperienced people working with us. We had the DOP knew what he was doing. I knew what I was doing. My producer Julian, God bless his soul, he knew what he was doing, and then everybody else below us were inexperienced or had a little bit of experience, and nobody was getting paid. And so everybody wanted to make the film, and it was hell. We had 2 hours sleep every night, maybe even less. We were dealing with things that we didn't understand. Like, in those days we had replica guns, but we couldn't put muzzle flashes in the replica guns. So my DOP had a firecracker, and he had a wire that went up the sleeve of this person, and it connected to the gun.
God.
Yeah. And then he pressed the switch, and then the muzzle flash will come out of it. And so we had scenes like that in the film.
Yeah.
But also,
gee whiz.
Yeah, but also, we weren't stupid. We realized that to hold a crew for 2 weeks, we realized that other people have other work to do. So what we did is there was 3 stories in the film. So we said to them, you can work on whatever story you want. So one story was 2 days to shoot. So basically, a sound guy could be on that 2 days. He can go off, do a working job. And then another sound guy comes in for the second story. Another runner comes in for the third story. And then the actors in the film, we only had one actor that went through all 3 stories. The rest of them was only shooting for 2 days. So they weren't held there in a ridiculous amount of time. Wow. And so we constructed it that way so that we had a chance to complete it.
What a logistic nightmare. I mean,
it was.
I can't even imagine the call sheet. Someone probably probably ran out and probably stopped doing film after that production.
It was complete nightmare. But you know what? I learned so much shooting that, and we won an award in LA. I think it was LA. It didn't jumpstart my career at all. Nor did it jumpstart any. I think it may have jumpstarted a couple of people's career, but not mine at all. I'm still waiting to jumpstart my career, to tell you the truth.
Well, this will do it. This show, don't worry about it. But I will say this, Ian. I will say this is that, and I know you'll attest to this, that I have stories like that I can tell you over my years. And you know what? They make for awesome stories, but they also give you a credibility when you say, I started back in the day when we were splicing. And we were
same here.
Like, okay, and now you're in the in this time frame, and we're using digital, and we have, you're an editor too. I edit.
Yeah.
It's like if I could have, I used to crash PCs all the time because when I was working at the news station, I came up with e-news, and this is back in the early 90s, and I was doing it, and they're like, this is amazing. One of the reasons why they hired me as the Fox Kids Club host is because I knew how to do this, but I was melting IBMs because the rendering, and then I finally got a decent Mac, and it would render, because everybody knew that was what you did if you were editing and putting any kind of photo stuff out. I want to say something, though. It looks like you have at least one fan out here. Says Air Bear says Ian started my career. Do you know who that is?
Oh yes, Gavin, my friend Gavin. He was. What happened was that we had a first, and I can't remember the girl's name, but she worked for the BBC. And so the second night we were shooting, we went over, and it was tough. Everybody was tired and everything. And I said to the crew, look, we got to finish this because we can't come back to this location. We're going to go to 3 o'clock in the morning. If people want to leave now, they can leave. We'll carry on. And the first was really upset. And she said, you can't do this scene. We've got to stop. We've got to give them a break and then come back after we've done the shoot and come back and shoot this. And I said to her, do you have money to come back? Are you going to give me the money? And she said, no. And I said, well, we're going to carry on. And she left. She left, and then I promoted Gavin. So Gavin became my first. And we carried on shooting. So
that's what we call right time, right place, or right place.
Yeah, exactly. Gavin's a great guy. He's a terrific guy. He really is.
That's good.
Great friend as well.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember doing a film called Lockdown. This is like a long time ago. And the last day, the director, Frank someone, he literally said, we've got to keep shooting. And we wound up shooting 26 hours. At the end of this, luckily it was a fight scene because there was no acting needed there. Because after that, it's funny. Here we go. Here's another person that says, Ian is a friend and a wise elder on our channel. We appreciate everything he brings to the channel. That's nice.
That's nice. Yeah. Thanks, Ian. Mr. Brown.
Let me ask you, I get this is somewhat of a stupid question, Ian, but what's your favorite style of film, cinema? I mean, I guess it would be a stupid question because of what I'm seeing.
Well, I'm old school.
Romantic comedies or no? I'm kidding.
I do.
You do.
I do. Seriously, I do. My favorite romantic comedy is While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock.
Yes.
I've never made a romantic comedy. I'd love to one day, but I'm old school. I actually think that the art of directing has been lost today because it's so much easier to shoot films. And if you look at Spielberg stuff, Richard Donner's stuff, I don't know. The closest one that I could say today that's old school is Edgar Wright. I think Edgar Wright is a really terrific director, and he really knows how to use that camera to full force. Sure. But other directors today, they're very stagnant. Their shots are very. I give you an example, right? So do you remember Jaws, right? One of the best directed films ever made. So basically Spielberg is really good at demonstrating something that's happening just by using things in the frame. Sure. So there's a scene in Jaws where Richard Dreyfuss and Roy Schneider and go out to kill the shark. So they get into the boat and the boat sails off, and Spielberg has this shot from Quint's window where it's got the jaws of the shark on the window. And when you look through the window, you can see the boat going into the distance. So subconsciously, what Spielberg was saying was they're driving into danger, where you have the teeth and you have the water and you have the window. And that's what he was saying. He was saying that, using those things, saying that. And I believe that kind of directing is lost today. And I really love that stuff. And I try to put it into my films anytime I can, anyway, whatever.
I agree with you that I think that, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful to a lot of directors and creators nowadays, is that I think the art of storytelling, not only through scripting, but through, look, back in the old days, before it became illegal, they would flash Coca-Cola,
yeah.
But the point is that, before, and then they'd show the trailer of in the theaters of going, hey, it's time for popcorn. And you'd be like, damn, I don't have any popcorn. But you're right that a lot of times the symbolism, which is by all means can get a visceral reaction, tends to be now it's like clip, clip, clip. We know we're going here with the story, and that creative parts isn't there. It's the Rorschach test of film. I don't think that exists as much, and I agree with you.
Subconsciously, when Spielberg or when Donner does something, you don't notice it, but subconsciously you read it. You ever go see a film and you come out and you forget about it. Like, for instance, Resident Evil movies. You go in there, there's loads of CGI, and you come out and you just don't think about it again.
Nope.
The reason why you think about films like The Omen and The Exorcist, because the directors, they used the frame to evoke an emotion.
Yeah.
Whether it's a camera move or whether it's a prop, whether it's what's happening in there. So when you come out of that film, the film's still in your head. And that's a sign of a good director, a well-written screenplay and a well-shot movie. But these days, because it's so much easier to light films and shoot stuff, it's becoming flat. Everything's becoming flat, and it doesn't really connect with you emotionally if it's not well directed. If it's directed by numbers, like I wanted to see Eternals.
Yeah.
That was directed by numbers, and I came out of cinema thinking that was flat, and I didn't care about anybody. And so the art of actually making films connect with you, I think it's slowly being lost for mediocre stuff.
I agree with you, and I'll say one little sort of visual for people to understand is that it's like social media. The way they say that how do you succeed in social media, and you can ask a lot of people, but the first thing they'll say, you have to engage. If you don't engage, and what does that mean? It doesn't mean you just go like people's stuff. It means that you engage and you go, oh my gosh, I love this. And you know what? Here's a biggie in those types of films. I was there once. I did that. And then you have the people. And when you have the Jaws and the films like that, they do have a way of not saying by words going this and that, but they show you situations where you go, oh my gosh, like Poltergeist. Watching the two in the bed smoking weed and, being, and I'm like, oh my God, I remember, and then you're with them and they follow you and they keep pulling you along with the visuals. And that's, again, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Let me ask you, how much series work and film work is there floating around in England? However, before you finish that or even start that answer, I want to say that I always tell actors, if you want to be a successful actor, because I ask me a lot on my Instagram, and I go, well, if you really want to be a successful actor, maybe an A-lister, first thing you need is a British accent. That's what I say.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, look at it. Every time I see a film, even if it's a cowboy movie, all of a sudden everybody's going, well, mate, if you can just possibly. And I'm like, what the hell? So anyway, but that joke aside, tell me what kind of, where do you find stuff around there? You've been doing this a long time. Is it that they go, oh, get me Ian?
I'm gonna break your thinking about the British film industry now. I'm gonna really break it because I don't care anymore. Basically, I don't care anymore because I'm not part of the British film industry at all. I was never allowed in for various reasons.
Okay.
So the British film industry is run by middle class, upper class people, and that's why you got Hugh Grant, you got Colin Firth and stuff like that. It's all come from Cambridge or Oxford. It's a very closed door industry.
Wow.
And if you're a blue collar or if you're a working class, the chances of you actually becoming part of that system it's very remote. I mean, this is a case in point with me. And in the old days, it was racism. And I keep saying this to my friends. I keep saying now I'm not black enough to be part of the British film industry now. So because everything's changed, right? You got the LGBT thing, and you got the strong women, and you got the tick boxing exercise and stuff like that. It's gotten worse. It's hard to actually to get in, and I know a lot of people would disagree with me. I remember somebody said to me once, "Oh, you got a chip on your shoulder." I'm like, "Well, somebody put it there, didn't they?" Do you know what I mean? So and the thing is, though, I have tried my utmost best, and I've come to the conclusion now that it's really pointless. You either get screwed by a distributor, screwed by an aggravator. You can't get into the film industry because you're not the right class or the color or the sexuality is not right or whatever now. So I've just given up. I'm going to make stuff that pleases me. And if people like it, they like it. It'll be for free on YouTube and just move on from there. Because I've got a job that a good paying job. Corporate stuff. I do a lot of corporate stuff, and that helps me fund
Sure.
Things like
what you've
Rebecca
loved to
Gold
do.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I find it, I know a lot of people would disagree with me, and that's fine with me, but I have tried so hard to try and be part of the British film industry, and the door's always been shut. And when you get to my age, you come to the point where, what's the point now? What is the point?
Yeah.
You love making stuff. Just do the stuff that you love.
But Ian, I'm gonna burst your bubble on what you may think about America here and how we do it. I'm just gonna tell you that what you said, in my opinion, is pretty much worldwide. And look, here's the thing, okay? Because I know I've been doing this for 40 years as an actor. This is not my hobby. This is what I do. But I'm telling you that recently, I mean, I remember back in the 90s looking at auditions, breakdowns, and going, oh man, all of a sudden, and this is, look, I don't mean this to be disrespectful. I mean this to be that everybody should have their opportunities. So please do not quote me and say I'm being this, that, or the other thing, because I won't listen.
I won't.
But here's back in the 90s, I started seeing Latino, and I'm like, oh, and my agents were like, yeah, you're not Latino enough. Well, no, I'm not at all, as a matter of fact. And then now recently, because of BLM and because of other stuff like that, it should be. Because if you look at the industry as an actor, you'll see all that stuff. But I can't really take blame for everything, can I? Because I'm not the guy running around. I'm not a Trump voter. I said it. There's no politics on my show, but I said it. And I believe that everybody should have an opportunity to do whatever they want to do. But you're right about the industry. But I'm going to say a plus. The plus is that we now have the opportunity to do what you said. Before, back in the day, you would say, well, you know what? I'm just going to do my own thing. And you had to raise the money. You had to do all this. Nowadays, because of this, because of, cheap. I mean, I'm in my studio that if I had this studio 15 years ago, this shit would have cost me about 20 grand. But now I could probably get it under $1,000. You got to know what you're doing. But the point is that we have the opportunity, and I say this all the time, is that you, Ian, can put something on the one of 10,000 plus film festivals and get it on the big screen, and it won't cost you the same amount of money as it would have 10 years ago. And you know what? You might get recognition. Your stuff's the shit. I'm looking at your stuff and go, wow.
Well,
but you know what I mean? Talk about the opportunity to be able to do it with technology.
Yeah, I agree, but look, there is no answer to this, okay, at all. Okay, right. Every step you make, people are trying to rip you off, or I should know. I made 2 feature films and haven't seen a penny from both of them. Yet they've sold worldwide on Blu-ray and DVD and stuff like that. And the only money I ever made was with my first movie, Killing Zone, and that's when the industry was okay. This guy gave us a bonus. He basically wanted our film, and he pursued us. And in the end, we were in Cannes, and he walked up to us and he said, I'll give you this amount. And he wrote it on a page. And it was like 4 times the amount that we actually raised for the movie. And he gave us the check. And we were like, okay. But we shouldn't have said yes, right? Because we devaluated the film. And we were just learning at the time. But the business has gotten worse. I mean, the amount of people that's been ripped off by distributors and aggravators, and, it's just criminal. And they're allowed to get away with it. And as I'm saying, if you can't overcome that. That's the thing. If you don't have any power. And
no, you're right.
You've got to have money to have power.
I mean, hey, try being. Just be lucky you're not a musician.
Yeah,
I'm serious. Because you know that I've talked to many musicians in my interviewing, and they're like, I just guess I do it just because I want to hear my shit on the radio or what podcast, whatever. But they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked for Cirque du Soleil, and the guys that were playing in there are like phenomenal, and they're like, oh, dude, we've got so many different albums out, and we don't make a dime. And it's because it's corporate. But they go.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make, right, is that even though I sound negative, which I am not, right?
I don't think that's true.
I think everyone can make a feature film now. Then there's nothing stopping you from making a feature film.
Right.
The only problem you have is actually getting it out to the masses to watch your work. But if you basically are making a feature film because you love doing that, I would encourage you to do that, right? Because as you say, you never know, somebody might, like there's that one called what was that horror film, Lights Out? There was a short film called Lights Out, and that guy, I mean, he just got discovered on YouTube, and then he ended up directing a feature film. So it can happen. It just hasn't happened to me.
Blair Witch.
But
Blair Witch. I mean, Blair Witch is a good example.
Blair Witch, yeah,
Blair Witch really changed. I make this joke all the time saying, when Blair Witch came out, I was working as a Fox Kids Club host, and I watched this thing, and I went, okay, so now we can film through dirty underwear and run it over with a couple of trucks and then put it in the movie, theaters, and people will love it, because it changed that. But then that was also the birth of more internet and the fact that anybody can be anything. You can be a director, you can be a writer, you can be an actor, and all you got to do is go onto YouTube or Uncle Harry's blog and you can do it. That's the unfortunate part about our industry is that you don't need a degree. You could be like me. I got no education at all, and you can go out and you can
join the club.
World, but you got to be pretty resilient in what you're doing and what I'm doing, because the industry just says all the time, chew it, spit it out.
Well, it's okay though.
Negative show.
No, I'm as I said, I'm trying to encourage people to like. There are hundreds of actors out there,
hundreds
who, well, maybe thousands, maybe millions of actors out there who do their own thing and stuff like that. And I think that's a great thing. As I said, the only thing we suffer from, people like us that actually doing their own thing, is the actual getting the film out there for people to see. Yeah. And we're just a drop in the ocean, somebody could shoot a squirrel going up a tree and that millions can watch that. And yet my well-constructed movie, I only get 4,000 watching it. Do you know what I mean?
I saw that film with the squirrel. Riveting.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So it's complicated.
David Diaz. If you want, you can check out his Instagram. You see up there in the top, lower, whatever, the top, whatever thing. Basically, he's a mega geek, and I love that. I saw it at first. I'm like, I'm trying to spell out oh, it's not. It's mega geek. And really appreciate you coming on. You are where in England?
I'm in London.
Oh, there it is, right there. I will be. I think I'm going to come and bring. You have Starbucks there, right?
We have Starbucks, yeah.
You do. I'm going to probably be there soon. I'm actually a professional magician, and I'm a member of the Magic Circle there.
Oh, cool.
And that is, I'm also a member of Magic Castle, but don't tell them. The Magic Circle, oh my God, 108 years old. It's like, I call it like the, not a great thing to call it, but it's got the Illuminati of magic. I mean, it's a pretty deep down place, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me just really quickly, let's see where we're at. Yeah, probably time for you to leave and have a good night, the rest of your night. But before we go, I love to ask about the philosophy of a person. But do you mind if we take a small little break and come back in a second?
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Hang tight. We're talking to Ian, I'm going to call it the whole line. Ian David Diaz. He's a director, writer, producer, also an editor. He had so many things in there, I couldn't do his lower third. But with that being said, hey, actors, I want to bend your ear a little bit here, show you something I think that you're going to enjoy. And if you're not going to enjoy it, at least you're going to learn from it. I call this my flash demo. I came up with this idea. You've seen it on the show before, but this is what I've been doing to do something different to get the attention of casting directors, and so on, other than the show. With that being said, hold on a second. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to show you something here. I created an ad, and what I did with the ad is I put it on places like breakdown services and stuff like that. Spent a little bit of money, but you got to, spend money to make it. And when you click the banner ad, it would be up there. It looked like an office where they would do a casting. And when you clicked it, it said, hey, casting directors, you want to know how to be successful? Click here. Well, they clicked it and this came up. Hey, thanks for clicking the banner. Now, I know you're dying to know what it is that makes a successful casting office or director or production. And the answer is actors. See, you can have a great script, great casting director, a director, producer, but here's the problem. You always need good actors. To be or not to be. But let's face it, there's way too many of us. and we can't market to you, which is odd considering that they call it show business, and that means that there's business in the show. We can't call you. We can't send you an email. We just submit to the breakdowns like the other 4,800 that submitted to you on that casting call, with no action-packed pitch letter, sales letter, and all we do is stand in line and remain quiet. Let's be honest. Lines are for Starbucks, not for careers. If I still have your attention, I want you to watch this next 46-second video. Now don't go away, because there's a quiz after this.
Detective Gennaro, I need to speak with Rex Wilson.
Rex is already out there on the speedway for his practice run.
You know what I mean?
Now let me see your shotgun.
Here, cool it down.
Just like your old man, huh? Is there a problem, soldier? I'm asking you a question, Lieutenant.
Running in clown shoes.
This is gonna be fun.
Time! What if they need more time? See? That wasn't so painful. And I even saw a couple of you laughing. So if you like what you saw, operators are standing by.
Yeah, Will Roberts is great. For sure. Oh, you want to book him?
That's my agent. And if you didn't like my approach, well, I'm Daniel Craig, and I hope you enjoyed this commercial. So again, the idea, and as Ian and I are talking as two veterans in this industry, it's not an easy industry. If you are just getting into this, good luck. Don't expect a relationship, and and don't expect that you'll be there for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever the case may be, and all that other fun stuff. But the fact of the matter is that if you do it and you love it, then the fact is that you just need to do it. If you don't need to do it, like I said earlier in the show, yeah, become a barista or something. Probably a lot more fulfilling. You'll meet people that won't be at your throat all the time and rejecting you. With that being said, let's go back to the show. Hey, Ian, thanks for hanging out with me.
That's all right.
The last thing I want to say or ask you is, I always ask this. This is what I call sort of the best four-letter word in the English language: free advice. I want you to do me a favor and give a little bit of advice. And look, it could be industry related. It could be life related. It could be like just don't walk on thin ice. I don't know what, or how to make a donut. I want you to reach down there, and if someone was in a room with you and said, "Look, I want you to please help me. I need your sensei. I need your guidance." What might that be?
If you're talking about filmmaking, I would say never give up if that's your passion. But I think I put something on Twitter once. I said, you should always cherish your madness, because being normal sucks. That's what I say. So yeah, I just think that if you have a passion, you should stick by it and go as far as you can. Obviously, life intrudes, and when life intrudes, you might have to ditch it, but keep going as far as you can if you love what you do. That's my crappy advice, basically.
Well, no, I think, I love that. I also know that you're a writer, as we can see here as well. So my question to you, last question, is in your writing, do you are you putting a lot of your own personal experience in this stuff? Do you believe that is a tool, your experience of how long you've been doing this and what you've been doing in your life, good and bad? Do you believe that helps enhance the movies you're writing and putting together?
Yeah, I mean, everyone that writes their own stuff, they put a part of themselves in it. I mean, Spielberg obviously came from a broken family. That's why he, when he was in his prime, he did a lot of films about family, or or dads, or do you know what I mean, stuff like that. For me, it's about geekdom. With my stuff, if you watch my films very carefully, I say this to my friend Keith, I always put a quote from a James Bond film. So Killing Zone's got a quote from a James Bond film. If you look closely, Rebecca Gull has and stuff. So my thing is movies, because I love movies, and I always put little things in there so people can spot them and stuff. But as I said, there's no way you can write something and it's not part of you.
Right.
So I reckon you should embrace it. Write about something that because it's the best way, really, isn't it? unless you get commissioned to write about World War II or something, and you have to obviously, research. But there you go.
Yeah.
That's what I think anyway. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Boy, I really appreciate you coming on. And by all means, you have carte blanche. If you ever have a project that you're either doing, going to do, need funding for, you come on this show and I will help you. And so will Sal, who is amazing and has 8,000 film festivals that he's been marketing for the last 7 years. So you're welcome here anytime you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks for giving us your time. And if there's anything else, let us know. Be safe, be well, and I hope to see you on set someday soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
All right, everybody. Hey, that is the show for today. I really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us. Bottom line is that you saw it here, that Ian gave some great advice. I love talking to people who have been doing this for a while. Not that I think anybody that's only been doing it for a year or two doesn't have great advice, but I love that part because I think it's super important, the advice and the things that Ian gave you and that we talked about. I mean, I always seem to have a good matchup with folks just because, one, I've been doing this, and number two, I recognize what Ian was saying throughout the whole thing, basically saying you can do all that you want to do, but sometimes it's not going to go in the spot that you want it to fit. The industry, in my opinion, definitely has the Squarespace round peg symptom. But in any case, come back again. If you have any questions, anything you want, go to our site, filmfestivallive.com. This story and the video that you're actually watching live, someone says, got to munch some food. Well, that's awesome, Paul. You do that. Remember to chew 32 times. All right, Paul? I don't really want anybody to have to do the Heimlich maneuver on you. But if you have any questions, by all means, or if you have a film or if you have content you want promoted, check us out at filmfestivallive.com. This story, this video will be on our YouTube channel. It'll be on our Facebook Live. It'll be on the actual filmfestivallive.com. I want you to go out there, be safe, be well. It is Monday, so today is the day you get to start to do something. Don't wait till Wednesday. Don't wait till Friday. And if you do, maybe you're in the wrong industry. I'll see you soon. Be well, be safe. But most of all, be successful, whatever that means in your own eyes. Bye-bye.
Uh-huh.